I guess we'll continue with our morning program. Our next speaker is Stewart Skinner. Stewart has a Bachelor of Commerce degree in Agriculture Business and a Master of Science in Agriculture Economics. Prior to a return to farming, Stewart worked in politics and policy advisor to a previous Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, and as a commodity trader at a local cooperative. In 2016, Stewart returned to his roots to grow Emani Farms, a swine production company founded alongside his partner Jessica in 2015. Today, his farm sells over 40,000 pigs annually for various third-party verified programs, including Certified Humane and Certified Organic for customers across North America. Stewart is a sixth-generation farmer from Listowel, Ontario, and has been a strong advocate for mental health for farmers and is known for sharing his very real and authentic struggles with mental health. Stewart is here today to share his thoughts on the importance of maintaining good mental health in today's world.
Thanks to the first speaker to remind us we don't speak out of our forehead. I'll start with this low here. Thanks everybody for being here this morning. It's pretty exciting. I was chatting with Ryan Barrett from the Potato Board. I think the last mental health talk I actually gave was at the Potato Conference 4 or 5 years ago. And it was really unique this time. A lot's changed in the last 4 or 5 years. There's that whole pandemic thing we lived through. Time marched on. And I found that as I was trying to prepare for today, my own thoughts on mental health and agriculture and the intersection that we find ourselves in has changed. And so hopefully, if you heard me 5 or 6 years ago at the Potato Board, this is all new material because I can guarantee you the Stewart of 5 years ago is quite a bit different than the one today. To touch on the title a little bit, human resilience in the age of algorithms. First off, it's a good thing we didn't have to take a drink with every presentation with resilience in it, or we'd be half cut before lunch here today. But like, what does that even mean? And so I'm 42. I love those mid-aughts. This is from Blades of Glory, but we could pick a whole bunch of different ones. What does it even mean? Does anybody out there want to give me a stab? Brian showed me maybe asking for audience participation is a dangerous thing to do. Anyone want to take a stab at what resilience means in the context of our brains?
Our ability to cope.
Oh, very good. So because I love reading dictionaries like a nerd, here's an official definition of mental resilience. The process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult and challenging life experiences, especially through mental, emotional, behavioral flexibility and adjustment to external and internal demands. I'm not entirely sure what that said, so I'm going to walk you through kind of how I view it, what I feel about mental resilience. First off, for me, resilience is a conversation about who we're trying to be on any given day and what we're trying to be. And one of the most important things, the most important thing for me as a person are these couple people, well, there's 5 of them, and we've got my family. I've got to be a husband. I've got to be a dad. Those are things I have to do if I want to be who I want to be. And I chose my pictures with a little bit of intention. I don't do the Instagramming, and I don't know how to do filters, and so this is very much real life. My wife works about an hour away. She's gone early mornings often. So that's a regular morning with Daddy, with the 3 kids around the table. That's something that whether I am feeling good, bad, or otherwise, I've got to be there. I've got to make sure that those kids have breakfast before they go to school. I've got to make sure that when my wife comes home after working at a job that makes sure that we can actually live the farming life that we live, I've got to be a supportive partner and acknowledge that she doesn't have infinite resources for me or for the farm. She's got her own resiliency. So those are a couple of the things that I need to think about when I'm thinking about my own resilience. The next thing, I am a farmer. In the bio there, it said about we do specialty pig farming. It means like pig farmers, we're already a weird subsection of the farming crowd. I just went even weirder. We do everything based on straw. We don't use fairing crates. We do have a subsection of our production that's certified organic. And I really love what we do, but it is hard. Like when you put a sow in a fairing crate, it's a lot easier to clean up. There's a lot of things that are easier to do that we've taken away. And so there's some interesting demands that come with our style of farming that, again, going back to every day when you get out of bed, this is something, managing this business is something that I need to be able to be present for and to do. And sticking on that weird topic, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see, but we do organic cropping. So we don't have, all of our pigs aren't certified organic, but we have a subsection that are. And so we have a land-based organic farrow to feeder operation. This is our harvest setup. It's pretty wonky. You got the grain buggy going into the gravity box, going into the grain cleaner, going up into the dryer bin, and then we've got the trusty dump trailer. Are there any organic farmers in the room, or am I the only hippie? I'm the only hippie. All right. We're missing the long hair, but you end up doing some weird stuff. Organic soybean production is not for the faint of heart, and you really have to love that rotary cleaner because of all of God's diversity that you get to take out of your soybean crop. That takes extra work. It's something, again, when we think about what we have to do on any given day, when it's soybean harvest, that's something we got to think about. And when there's a rain cloud, it's like, do we really want to take the grain cleaner in? And those are the things that we have to manage. And when we bring that back to I forgot one thing. It's important, and it's not just circling back to my kids. The other thing that's important to myself and to my partner is that we stay involved in our communities. And our community can be Listowel, Ontario. This is a picture from the most recent Christmas concert at Knox Presbyterian. That's my son there. You can see he's really excited as the 9-year-old. I think 10 is the cutoff before they're allowed out of mandatory Christmas concert participation. But it's important to us as a family to be involved in our communities. And I would probably guess that most of you in this room are pretty much the same in that regard. You've all got a partner to think about. You've got kids to think about. Some of you are probably lucky enough that you've got grandkids to think about on top of your kids to think about. And maybe you're even hitting the trifecta where you've got kids, grandkids, and an aging parent. We've all got those personal parts that we are inside of ourselves designed to care about, to want to make sure that we can be there. And then again, if you're sitting in the PEI Soil and Crop Improvement Association meeting, you're probably tied to some sort of farm business. And it doesn't matter, pigs, cows, crops, vegetables, there are always going to be parts of our farming operation that are going to require our full attention, and it's not linear. We don't punch a clock at 9 and punch the clock at 5 as easily as some other industries. Should have brought a timer up here with me. I have no idea how much time I've been talking for so far. Maybe that's what happened to the other guys before me. But all of these things coming together, this is my definition, and my sister, the therapist, might shoot me, but this is my definition of what mental resiliency is to me. The ability to get through the responsibilities associated, and I'm not going to read it all because I've just gone over all of those responsibilities, but I'm going to skip to the end, without losing it on other humans. And that's something that I think is actually important. I have a pretty fiery temper. In fact, the guys at the farm shop, in the whiteboard, there's a little square that says date since Stewart last yelled. It's not helpful to lose your shit on other humans. That's not usually a beneficial, and I mean, there's a very small subsection in that like 45 to 55 demographic that it seems like the only way to get through sometimes is yelling. But I'm going to get off topic on a tangent here. It's not good to lose it on other humans. That's the takeaway. But then on the flip side, we can't be internalizing that and losing it on ourselves. I had a bad habit, I still do every once in a while, where I just downright scream at myself for being an idiot when I've done something really, really dumb. That's not helpful to the solution, and it's kind of the opposite of building resilience. So, skipping to the second part here, what's an algorithm? I was chatting with a fellow last night who's speaking this afternoon. I bet you he could give us a really good definition of what an algorithm is. Aaron, what's an algorithm? Mathematical equation. So I do love dictionary definitions. I can't help myself. I was saying earlier to somebody, I do a lot of pulpit supply at a local rural Presbyterian church, and I cite the dictionary almost as often as the Bible. But the procedure for solving a mathematical problem in a finite number of steps that frequently involves repetition and of an operation. That's the Merriam-Webster. Here's Stewart's definition. Computers doing math very fast in an attempt to make money for their owner. And I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but when we think about the role that algorithms play in our lives, whether it's Facebook, whether it's a news feed, whether it's your banking app, it doesn't matter. It's owned by somebody else, it's a private enterprise, and the goal is profit. And I am not a communist. I do not think profit is a bad thing. I just think that we need to be mindful of who owns those algorithms. There. Anybody get the Luddite reference? I use that one with my wife, and she's like, what the heck's a Luddite, you idiot? Falling pretty short. So during the Industrial Revolution, there was a lot of unrest and disruption as technology started replacing humans in the manufacturing process. And there was these folks called the Luddites. They would break into the factories and smash up the spinning yarn, like smash up the machinery. It was an attempt to say, listen, we can't have machines replacing humans without thinking about the impacts. I'm afraid of certain algorithms, but I did want to kind of declare that I'm not a Luddite, and here's why. Every generation of farmers sitting in here today, the ones that have come before us, every single one of us has always had to grapple with new and emerging technology, and we would not be successful as farm families if we didn't adopt those technologies. We can't just bury our head in the sand and say, I'm just going to do it the old way. That doesn't work over time. We do have to be mindful of progress. We do have to be mindful of the tools that our competitors are going to be able to access when we're looking at going into the same markets. Like my grandfather was born in 1926 in Mitchell, Ontario. They had just electrified the back roads at that point. For his father, can you imagine going from no electricity to electricity? But we've all done it. Everyone's gone through different things, and the thing that we've started going through already, it's already coming into our industry, but artificial intelligence and the deployment of algorithms is going to be the disruptive technology that we need to grapple with next. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how I saw AI intersecting with my own mental wellness to try to, I guess, maybe personalize this a little bit. I used that picture. I literally Googled, I need my phone, and this was the top of the image search. But at the end of the day, for my farm business, I cannot run my farm business without my phone. I've joked a lot about going back to a good old-fashioned landline, but I legitimately am not sure if I could handle losing all the windshield time that I use for phone calls. There is a component of my phone that is integral to my productivity. It's a tool in the tool belt. But I can find myself chafing, and if I've made it once, I've made it 1,000 times, various and sundry ways I'd like to punt my phone off the bridge. It can feel like it traps you. It can feel like you can never get away. Any carpenters in the room, or anybody that likes to moonlight as a carpenter? Yeah, Brian, I shouldn't have even tried. It's a tough crowd in that regard. Does a carpenter take their hammer to bed? No. Yet how many of us, I'll be the first one, how many of us take our phone to our bedroom? A lot of us. Why do we take that tool with us when we leave those other tools at home? Or at the job site, I should say. And that's something, again, I can't remove the phone and that greater level of technology from my need. I need it. I don't know how to change my business to get to a place where I'm not going to need what I can access through that one tiny little device, but at least I can try to be mindful of how it can trap me. I've got mostly young staff at the farm. It's something we take a lot of pride in. I'm 42, so the old guys think I'm young still. The young guys think I'm old, so I'm firmly entrenched in this weird middle age. But I've been attempting to pick up the lingo of the kids, and my employees will often tell me, Stewart, you got to go touch some grass. And that's what that is. That's an acknowledgement. We have to put the device, whichever that device may be, we have to remove ourselves from the presence of the algorithms and go touch some grass. Or roll in it, do whatever you want. But don't be near the algorithm for a little while. Don't be near the phone for a little while. So I want to talk about, because when we go back to resilience, mental health is not a light switch. Yes, there can be acute events that will trigger something. I'm not trying to get into the finer details. As I said, my sister, who's a therapist, just gets so frustrated with my lack of proper technical terms when I'm talking about these types of things. But generally, at least for me, it's not a light switch. When I start to fight with the darkness, when I start to fight with the things that haunt me, it's when my battery is at its absolute low point. And going back to that slide where I showed you the pictures of my family, every single day they're there, no matter what my battery's on. And if I'm going to do my job as a dad, I got to figure out, I can't believe I'm saying this in mental health talk, but I got to figure out a way to push through. Like 5 years ago, Stewart would have been like, we can't talk about pushing through. Like, no, like when we wake up in the morning, you got to feed your kids, no matter how you feel. If you're the only one there, that just is. At least for me, it is. So how can we find ways to fill our battery up so that we're not always running on the red line, so that it's not like, can I turbocharge it just to get me to 10% and I'll get through today? So what fulfills me today is different than what used to fulfill me. There are components that are the same. Why I bring that up is I think that we all need to acknowledge when we're talking about mental health, when we're talking about resiliency, something that fills your cup up today might not always fill up your cup down the road. And conversely, something that doesn't fill up your cup today might fill your cup up down the road. Case in point, I don't know why, but when I turned 40, I lost the ability to sleep past 6:30. I used to be able to sleep till 11 in the morning. And then I never used to be fulfilled by early mornings. Now, there is nothing better than an early morning walk in terms of just filling that battery up, being ready to take on the day. So it's not, if we find things that work, embrace them while they work, but if they start to not work, don't beat a dead horse. Look for other things to work. Now, in saying that, there are certain constants for me that I feel are important to highlight. The first one is I have a partner, and a lot of us will have partners in this room. I'm pretty sure we were designed to have a partner. Somebody that you can take things on, that even when your battery is low, they can wrap you up in a hug and tell you it's okay and give you that little charge that you need. That's Jessica. She's my partner. She's the one constant that hasn't changed in the better part of 20 years. And that's us. We met working at the Pigmobile in a perfect pig romance because we were both children of pig farmers. And then that was us about 15 years after we had first volunteered at the Pigmobile, going back to the CNE. We need to have that person or a very close group of people that can wrap us up in their arms and tell us it's okay. And I keep going on people. There's going to be a theme. If you have one thing, it's the humanistic piece of this. There's a human theme in all of this. At the top there, that's my own nuclear family. And I had to laugh. My brother, I was just sharing this with my brother, and he's like, you realize that's my ex-wife in that picture? I was like, so the faces change around the table, but you still have that nuclear family that, for me, I'm blessed to have as an ongoing pillar. And then lastly, something that's really important to my wife and I I think it was born out of the millennial, save the children, change the world, blah, 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 blah. But it morphed into just connecting with farmers in another part of the world. So Jessica and I have spent a fair amount of time in the North Rift Valley in Kenya, working with a dairy cooperative, and over time. And so those people are an important part of me. Actually, the one fellow on the left, if I can get am I doing the, nope, I shouldn't have tried to do the pointer. Opa, what did I do there? How did I? Oh, jeez. We're good. I think we're good. I'm not going to try to point out which guy Edgar is, but I was going to use Edgar as an example. So, sitting to my right is a guy named Edgar. We tried for years to figure out how to bring Edgar to Canada. Edgar and I are the same person. We were born within a couple days of each other. Our kids were born within a couple days of each other. We're both ambitious. We're both entrepreneurial. The only difference between us is I was born in one place and he was born in another. And so for years we tried to figure out how can we bring Edgar to Canada? Well, turns out, even though it was easy for a lot of other ways to get in here, I could never figure out a way to get Edgar here. So we took the job to Edgar. Edgar takes care of all of our data entry for our farm, and his wife Ruth does all of our, I shouldn't say all, the vast majority of bill entering, some of the basics that, going back to technology, QuickBooks Online allows you to enter your bills no matter where you are. So, but Kenya for me is a big part of that battery, whether it's an ongoing connection with the people that I've gotten to know over the years, or in my case, I joke, I need to be there every 2 to 3 years just to kind of reset. And that's why I keep going back, I think. And then lastly, and this is to talk about how it changes and how I find fulfillment, I took this picture, Christmas 2024. This is in our farm shop, and we're having Christmas dinner. All of the employees were in with their partners and their families. And I have found as our business has evolved and we've added people, and I referenced earlier, we've got some young people, we made a conscious choice as a farm business that we were going to approach labor in a way that was important to us, and we were going to work with guys that grew up down the road. We wanted to create new types of farmers with kids that grew up in town that wanted to be farmers. And there is very little that I am fulfilled more than the growth that I've seen in our young employees. I've gotten to the point where I bristle, like the hair stands up on the back of my neck when people complain about the kids. Because it's like, no, it's not the kids' fault. You just haven't figured out how to motivate yet. It's a different style of communication. Another kind of just learning about people. For the first year he's been with us for 6 years. He's 28 now. For the first year, one of our employees, he thought I was always angry at him. And I was like, why do you think I'm always angry at? I was only putting 1K in my text messages instead, because I always used to write okay because I'm 42, but I moved to I'm lazy too, I'll just put 1K. He's like, dude, why are you always so angry with me? And I'm like, Dan, what are you talking about? He's like, you're always dropping K-bombs on me in the text. And I'm like, what is a K-bomb? Now I answer with 2 Ks. It's easier to, instead of being like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, keep that in the inside and be like, you know what? It's not that hard to press K twice. And meet them on that level. And seeing the growth in those guys, those folks that didn't grow up on a farm, as I said, right now, and it might change down the road, it definitely wasn't a thing in the past, but for right now, there is little that I find as fulfilling as seeing the growth that we can create for people. It absolutely, like even right now, I'm kind of getting the warm and tinglies in my cheeks thinking about it. So I had this thought I could maybe get us right back on track in terms of schedule. So I think I'm going to get there. These are the things I was hoping to maybe leave folks with, and because I'm out of practice, I couldn't even remember how to animate one bullet at a time. So you're getting the whole list all at once. I get a weekly screen time thing that comes into my phone every Sunday morning, and it tells me how much time I was on my screen. It doesn't inform what I do, but I do feel like it is important to be conscious of your screen time. Understand how much of your life you're looking at your phone. Okay, and it's not hard to do. Mama Apple makes it really easy for you. Then, kind of tied into that, work on strategies around screen use that work for the whole family. And I say whole family, I could say whole household, because I look at going back to my own partnership with Jessica. When we run into issues, half the time it's someone, like one of us being grumpy about how the other one's using their phone. Like, why are you playing that mindless game right now? Why can't we be talking? Or why are you playing that mindless game when you're actually answering an email and you're not playing a mindless game? And then you're like, stop accusing me of playing the mindless game. I'm doing work right now. So you have to think about strategies around screen use that works for the whole household. And that's all about give and take. And it's about human-to-human communication about screen use. If I had more time, I'd tell you the story about my poor 9-year-old when he stole the old cell phone and took it on the bus the first time. Daddy did not take well to that. Thirdly, and I'm repeating myself from earlier, understand that every algorithm in your life, with the exception of guys like Aaron, who does have his own algorithm, which every algorithm in my life, from social media to banking to news, it's not mine. It's designed to engage me. It's taking all of that data, that my little hovering time while I'm screening, it's harvesting all of but it's not mine. They all belong to somebody else. And their purpose is to generate profit for those holders. Again, that's not a bad thing. I kind of want to repeat that. It's important for profit motive, or this whole game we play falls apart. We have to make money. The people who make technology need to be able to monetize technology. We just have to be mindful that it's not ours. And somebody else is trying to figure out how to make it more efficient at monetizing us. So let's just be mindful of that and think about that. And then finally, and most importantly, because I talked about how the things evolve over time, my feeling is this is not going to slow down. Screen time is not lessening. When I read an interesting article on the weekend talking about Gen Alpha, which is the next one, and how by the age of 6, 40% of U.S. children have a dedicated screen. Not a shared screen, not the old wooden box TV where you had to fight with your brother to decide which of the 3 channels you were watching. Your own screen with your own algorithms already pumping you content as a 6-year-old. So we have to, as that intensifies, as that continues to catch speed, because it's not going to slow down, we need to remember to find other humans, people that we like being around, people that we like talking about, people that we enjoy so much that we don't even think about picking up our phone out of our pocket when it buzzes with a notification, because we're having too much fun. And when I go back to that fulfillment, and I showed you that picture of the farm shop, and there's always, with farming culture, for our own farm, there's always some danger around the crossover of too much beer in the circle in the shop and being too reliant on alcohol. But in saying that, we've created a corporate culture at our farm where we can sit down in the circle at 4:30 on Friday afternoon, and everybody from the youngest employee who's 19 up to the oldest employee who's, what is Brad? I think he's about 48. Nobody's on their phone. We're not always talking about the same thing. Sometimes we're mostly sports, to be honest. That's the go-to. There's lots of talk about farming. But we have a conversation in a circle. We don't need a lockbox for the phone. We don't need to be saying, hey, don't be on your phone. We've created a circle of people that want to be together and look each other in the eye and talk about stuff. And when I look ahead, to me, and it's kind of why I don't mind the kids' definition of touching grass, like, put it in a box for a second and go and find your humans. Because that's the way that we'll stay grounded. That's the way all of the other generations of farmers were able to navigate scary technology, embrace it, and be successful. I think for us, doubling down on being a human is how we can navigate through this next phase of what we need to do. So with that, I'll wrap it up, and if there's any questions, I'll do my best to answer. It is like being pulpit supply here. They never ask questions at the congregation either. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and it was really fun to be here.